Okay, we here. All right, so we here with this message. You know, when it come down to it, hey man, a lot of people have issues with situations. A lot of people, you know, do things, but when it come down to it, you know, everybody don't need a voice. You know, YouTube platform lets everybody come on and say things they want to say, do things they want to do. And to a degree, without the credentials, you can't be critiqued. Without information, without proof. And I've always said this before, you can literally be anybody on YouTube. You can literally be anybody on YouTube. And a lot of people keep not having this understanding. It's just like going on a date. When you go on that first date with that man or that woman, everybody's on their best behavior. Like, they say your Sunday's best. That's how a lot of people are when they go on these YouTube. They're showing people their Sunday's best. Whether it be nasty on a panel, cussing people out, that's their Sunday's best. You know, that's what they got to give. They got to give the ratchetness. They got to give the good notes. They got to give, the gentleman swag, the feminine woman elite, the sister girl, the homeboy, the gangster, the trap queen. All those things. That's their Sunday's best because that's the entertaining side. You don't need no type of validation when you come to this space. All you need is just it's like a gimmick. It's like a gimmick. Yeah, when it comes a lot of them first dates, they bad, you know. And a lot of people, they shouldn't have mics when it hey, I was just talking to my friend about this and he was saying to a degree, a lot of people on YouTube should just go grab a coloring book and start coloring because certain conversations shouldn't be had, you know. Even when it come down to it, until all the information's put out, hey, don't jump the gun. Don't go to a judgment. You know, when it comes, nobody's perfect. Until I find out what's going on, that's the only way I can put your feet to the fire. Other than that, I got to take things for face value, for what I see, what I know, until otherwise proven. You know, and a lot of people have their issues, with things, and that's the big, thing I'm trying to, speak on. You know, and that's like the number one thing that we keep having in this space when it comes to a lot of us. You know, a lot of us having our issues. That's like the number one key thing what we having. A lot of people don't know. Hold on, let me put the link in the chat. Somebody wants to come up. All right, link in the chat. All right, there we go. What's going on, people? Coming through, coming through. The link is in the chat. And like, that be my biggest thing where I try to be cordial. I try not to do a lot of streams on gender. I try to do a lot of streams on self, like the motivation, the helping the self, the money, the self. Like you need money, work on your money, work on your A game, work on being a better you. You trying to, you know, go at people and all this other stuff, man, promoting like that's cool to an extent. But how far is it gonna take you? All right, the link right there. Um, we keep having issues because a lot of people they want a voice where they really don't need one. A lot of people shouldn't be talking on certain subjects and stuff because when it come down to it, you really have no voice. You how can I put this? It's gonna be some people stupid. Some people will talk about stuff they literally have nothing, no understanding on which they a topic. You will have a person that don't have kids tell you how to raise your kids, but they never had nieces and nephews they deal with, never was a teacher, never had kids, but they will tell you how a situation works and it can benefit you only to the point that it's only going to help them. It's not really helping you, and that be the crazy part. Like, and it kills me to when people get online, we go through these debates and these arguments, and then in the end, the resolution is, oh damn, I didn't know what I was talking about. Oh, I misunderstood, or I heard wrong, or it's just that, man, I didn't even know what the topic was. I just jumped up here and I started talking because you said a trigger word to me that made me want to come up and express my feelings about something. That's all it mainly be about, because at the end of the day, a lot of people they get to arguing and fighting and you know going at each other about what feelings. You know, oh, somebody said something. The old thing. Who said something about my mama? Why you say this or why you say that, bruh? Like lot of people don't need mics. I mean, I'm on the point of right. You know, right is right, wrong is wrong. If a man do something, I'm holding your feet to the fire, just like I'm holding a woman's feet to the fire. You got to do better for yourself. You got to change. A lot of people we listen to in this space of YouTube, there's a lot of different sectors. Gold Professor me and him speak about this all the time. As just like having the YouTube space is coming more along the lines of TV. You got your home improvement channels or your DIYs. You have, a lot of channels that can, come up and give you some information that can help you. You got a lot of channels that go through they woes to where they get flagged, they get taken down because people don't like the content. My thing is this: if you don't like my content, why are you over here? If you like my content, or even the people in the clouds, who be in the clouds, I will literally. There's I think of probably a couple of channels which I really don't even go on no more. But for the understanding, if I go over there to listen, I hit a like. If we don't have nothing, no kind of beef, I drop a comment and I move on. You know, I just can't deal with you on some term. But if I'm on your channel listening, I'm gonna give you a like. You know, because some of your message stuff like, hey, dang, you still on this message? Yeah, I don't fool with that. I can't rock with that. You know, we still talking about doing this? Nah, nah, I ain't doing it. That's the page that we be on with a lot of people, man. Like so many people keep stuff going from 8, 10 years ago. You got guys on YouTube that been knowing each other, and y'all let this YouTube tear y'all apart. Y'all beefing back and forth. You got dudes that met each other here. Y'all became cool friends, but then you turn around and had an issue with somebody. on the path. Y'all supposed to be boys. Y'all grew into this YouTube thing together. Y'all helped each other out. Y'all worked on each other. Y'all helped each other with each other page. Then turn around, you either had a female or another guy to come in and backdoor the whole deal. Like, yeah, man, your boy over here said this about you. He might have been joking. But what's the thing that we do? Instead of going to, hey man, I heard you said this about me. Nah, I'm gonna peep game on him. I'm gonna see what this about, and I'm gonna fade in the back and try to figure out this and figure out that. In the end, it is what it is, Pastor.
What up, Shig? What it do, bro? Hey, yo, thanks for trying to come through last night and give a sense of reality to what was going on,
Yeah,
because I was like, man, this out of line. I'm like, this happened like 8, 9 years ago, and the only reason why I bought this up is because we trying to help people understand the trauma that people go through and how they and some of it is some of it we got ourselves in, but how you grow from it and get better than that, and we can't even get past that because we all trying to filibuster or have I got you moment. Everybody looking for that average at best moment.
yeah. And the crazy part about that whole scenario with dude that we were speaking on last night, I'm in more fear like who put you in this mindset to think that it was okay? Like that was my whole thing to like y'all talking about the other person was the victim. He was a victim as well. This stuff is not self-taught. Stuff happens to people because other people put them in it. See, we want to point the finger and just directly go at other people, but then when we really sit down, like if I was in this situation and this was my kid, how would I have played this? I felt more sorry for him when I really found out the true story because honestly, man, I heard 13 stories about. I mean, to be honest, I did hear three stories about this happen. And from what you told me last night, all of them was nothing what really happened with that situation. I heard three different stories, but none of them was really about that situation. And the thing is, everybody want that, like you said, the aha, I got you moment. Aha, I found some dirt on you, you know. And the thing, even with you, like when you told your situation,
Mm-hmm.
everything got washed down to the whole point was you was bad, you did something wrong, all this was on you. Then when it really came to the true story, everybody was with the old moment, or I didn't mean to, or I misunderstood. No, that's what I said.
Oh, you
Listen
got
to what
niggas that
really
gonna
happened.
Hey, Sheed, you got niggas right now. It's even in the chat, and I don't get mad at them. They be on other panels. Irv, you a rapist. You did this. You did that. You did this. You did that. Nigga, if you really think that, forget a YouTube narrative. I gave y'all my information. Go look me up. Go read it. Go read it for yourself. Because there's no way that I will be able to do what I. There's no way I'll be able to do what I do if the narrative was the way that YouTube paints it. You can't. I've figured out that this is not a. This is an entertainment place. This is an entertainment space, and no one really wants to look at real life stuff like that. So let's just keep it. I just try to keep it entertaining. I don't even get mad at these guys anymore. I look at it as I look at it as them being entertained. They're entertaining themselves with my life, and you know what? It don't really bother me that much because they really can't do anything about it, and there's nothing to do about it. And so I just find it kind of funny. There's nothing they can really do about it, and it's already been done, and they don't even care to understand what happened or what was done and why they can't do nothing else about it. So I just I let them have their fun. I mean, I'm glad that they can have some fun.
Yeah, but the whole thing about that situation, man, it took a turn for the worse because, like I even said when I first heard it, I'm like, what really happened? Oh well, somebody said this and this and that, and I'm like, okay, but what did he say? What he said this and that. Everything what I heard that you did wasn't what you did. Every little snippet that people was kind of pushing, it wasn't the whole thing. But like I said, it's water up under the bridge, but it was to the point where I'm like, did y'all talk to the man? Before I write somebody off, I'm gonna give you a chance to prove, what you did. I'm not even gonna say nothing until I figure out, even if you lying to me or not lying. My thing, I'm gonna let you plead your case. Anytime it's holes in, a story, and it's gonna come out. Even with you, man. That's why I be telling you, man. I'm like, you get clipped a lot of times because you, first of all, you tell the truth, and then you like, honestly, man, they twist words. That situation got twisted, honestly, like 3 times from other panels I heard, and I'm like, dang, like what's really going on with the scenario and with the situation, And like I said,
That's why I tell people, stop trying to be a high value man on YouTube. Stop trying to be anything of importance in these spaces. If you're going to be anything of importance, or you're going to be of anything of any type of professionalism, do that in a different space. This is a pure entertainment space. Pure. That's it. Don't try to. I learned that real quick. Don't try to just keep it entertaining. Just keep it entertaining. That's it. Because every time I keep it real, that shit bites me in the ass every time. I remember that time I told them cats how much I really pay in child support. That shit bit me in the ass too.
yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm I'm fooling around, man. I had to make sure everybody was modded up because a lot of people over here not modded up, and I had to page T clean. Yeah, I know. I be seeing you. I'm sub to your channel. I done came up to your channel a couple of times, just trying to make sure you modded up. Stingray, I finally got you modded up, bro. You good? Red lipstick, what's going on? Red pill finance, what's going on, man? Like, everybody go look at each other channel, man. It only take a second to go over there, click on the link, hit somebody channel, go over and look at their channel. Think, John, did I mod you up too, bro? I think you all the way up at the top. Let's see. Yeah, but when it comes, I'm gonna mod you up in a minute. I know I should have conscious mod up. But when it come down to it, man, it's just like everybody got a voice in here. But what is your voice really doing for, people? And a lot of people just coming over here to be entertained, saying some stuff, not really trying to help. And hey, you devoting more pain than anything. A lot of guys gonna be end up taking a lot of L's because of certain spaces that they in. And there's a lot of women, you know, gonna be taking L's because certain spaces they in, you know. And when it boils down to it, it's mainly about the company you keep, man. A lot of people keep having these issues on YouTube and going at each other and stuff. Hey, like I told you, Pastor, it's kind of sometimes you let a little bit out too much, man. I understand you trying to be real, but you know, hey, real in 2022 ain't the real in the 90s and the early 2000s. It ain't the real no
Yeah,
more.
I'm glad you pulled me last night too, because I already gave all the information, but I was
Yeah, you
about
gave case numbers and everything. I'm like, bro, you literally gave too much. You gave case number, you gave what
the
occurred in the
detective,
city.
detective, everything.
Yeah, the
Like,
detective name. I'm like, for somebody to be lying, you really giving them the whole rundown to where they can pull up the case. You gonna be just like that channel I watch called Paperwork, where they pull people paperwork and display it on YouTube, talk about it and stuff.
but that's the thing about it is like, you know what? You get so frustrated when people in real life give you opportunities that people that you're just talking to on the internet can't even think about. Like people in real life have to really work, deal with me, see me, be around me. Same thing for them. And we give each, it's so sad that I didn't actually think this, but I'm starting to think that people are better in real life than on the internet. And at one point, I thought it was the opposite way. I thought people were more real on the internet and worse in real life. But the more I'm on this internet, real life is ugly. But you niggas on the internet are just woo.
What's going on, Paige?
Salute to the panel and everybody. How y'all doing? Everybody good?
Yeah, we good.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
good.
How you doing?
I'm sorry, y'all. It might be a little music in the background, so I'm gonna go outside. I'm at the recording studio right now. But I really wanted to key in on this subject. I think it's a great narrative that you're talking about, and I'm keen to.
Kind of went out.
Yeah, I know it's the Wi-Fi. Y'all
Okay.
gotta give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's going
peace,
on, son?
peace.
What
What's
up,
going
son? Well,
Look, this is one of those things that this is some old stuff. This is some old stuff because ain't none of this new. People think that this social media thing is new. No, it ain't. Y'all happen to remember web forums
Yeah.
where you
I
had
remember. I
moderators
remember.
and
Hey, I
groups?
remember them stories out of the newspaper. This the new newspaper.
Y'all remember AOL?
Yeah.
Yeah, America Online, of course, of
yep,
course.
yep.
Yeah,
All of this stuff was going on back then. The beefs, the moderators. Oh, I haven't been made a moderator. Oh, so and so was made a moderator. Look, I was part of a web shaving website. There were two wet shaving websites. There was originally only one. A beef started, so they had to add they had to start a second one. And it's all about shaving and shit. So it's
why
always
is
some
that though?
foolishness.
Why is it? Why is that?
If only we had the answer to it, because you remember there used to be vanilla Christianity too. There was the Orthodox Catholic Church, and then there's a regular Catholic Church, and then from there, there's about a few thousand different denominations of Christianity. I don't know what it is.
It makes it more digestible because look, the information that we was sharing up here was actually thought provoking and complex. So, and the crowds were getting younger and younger. Like with Christianity, like you used to have some years in to be an experienced teacher or minister. Not you wouldn't not know such thing as a reverend, but a minister or a pastor. That took years of training. But then the pastor started getting younger and younger. So then the message got watered down and watered down. The internet user is getting younger and younger. Honestly, last night, Sheed, I was like, this panel, like they kept saying, keep me off, keep me off. But I was almost like, can we make this panel 30 and older? That 25 and up, you know how they push clubs from 18 and up to 25 and up to
Yeah.
grown and sexy. We need to almost make these panels 30 and up now.
But see, that's the whole thing. It ain't even just the 30 and up. It's the mentality. The people that come on the panel, man, honestly, that's why I really try not to do too many open panels because I just want to get the information and leave. A guy on the YouTube, he pretty much told me stop going on panels because a lot of times I started going on panels to advertise my channel and give my thought, and so people would know what type of person I am when you come to my panel. And then a lot of times, like the stuff that I put on my page, I go and say all the crazy stuff I want to say about things on other people's channel because I'm trying to keep this clean. I'm trying to just do nothing but give information, and it's up to you whether you take the information or not. When it comes to finance, when it comes to self-awareness, self-improvement, there it goes. Even like with this conversation right here, it's all based on that.
And that's where I get off of YouTube because I wanted to ask y'all, what is it that you're getting off of here? If it's such a drug so much and we have to be on it and you got to go to it, you got to see this, you got to see that. What are you getting off of YouTube?
A lot of people are dealing with the majority of entertainment. This is the new cable. I I don't even have cable.
I swear it is because I don't even go to the news no more. I'm going to YouTube to get the news. Ain't this crazy?
Yeah, I found out that PNB got killed through YouTube. I found out the water crisis in Mississippi, which I've been knew before that. When they was talking about Flint, they was talking about Jackson, Mississippi before, but they was talking about it was a sewage problem. But now it
Fact,
turned into a water issue.
facts.
I'll tell
Well,
you the craziest thing. I don't own a TV.
me neither. I guess my laptop's a TV, but so when it became they lied. If you have a sewage problem, you have a water problem. This is what the internet is doing, yo. They're disguising truths behind lies.
Yeah, I believe that false information spreads faster online than it would by word of mouth. I really believe that. I remember all
Now,
that false information was going around.
Miss Page, I have to disagree there because you remember gossip.
I remember.
Same difference. It's just that it's a different format of it, but it's still the same thing. Now, so back in the day, there used to be gossip that was true, but there used to be some gossip that was slanderous, that people just put it out there to hurt other people. And it was hard to tell the difference sometimes, but it ain't no different.
What's going on, Psycho?
Hey, she. Um, yeah. To add to the discussion, as the internet has become more accessible, it seems that the quality of discussion and content has gone down, and I see why a lot of communities were invite only, or like back in the day, even like in the early 2000s. I mean, I wasn't really around. I'm only 23, but back in like the early 2000s and late 90s when the web was just at its inception, they had a lot of underground communities and you had to be in the know. You had to know how to use the technology or have some kind of technological proficiency in order to get on to the web. So that kind of kept, that was like a gate in a sense. That gate kept uh, low quality discussion and all these different characters from flooding the platform and whatnot.
Yeah,
I
I
can
mean,
feel them. I can feel them.
that's where I'm saying. I mean, nobody really has cable that much anymore. They're losing money. So that's why they're giving these bundle deals. Everybody's getting all these subscriptions from Netflix, Hulu, Disney, you know.
she, I haven't paid for a subscription since my Fire Stick been jailbroke.
Yeah, that's what Swirl just said. No, that's what Swirl just said too. When it come down to it, a lot of people just, you know, they get entertained right there. They get entertained straight from the internet. You know, a lot of people they they go in there to get their daily news. They go in there to get their sports. They go in there to current events. Even with I think social media, I go on what is that Twitter, and I never had Twitter for years. And once I end up getting Twitter, they have a what is that thing on Twitter. It's something with in Georgia where they have just everything about what's going on in Atlanta, and I'm talking about every 2 to 3 hours, if something major happen, they posting it on there. Fights in the mall, shootings, traffic, anything that goes down in Atlanta is all on there, you know. And that'd be like the biggest thing. People are so entertained, and to the point where people want to get their voice known, so they want to come in as the professional. They want to come in as, the dating coaches, the life coach. They want to come in
But
as all kind of,
everybody doesn't have a voice.
yeah.
Everybody don't need to speak. There are some people that are made to follow. There are some people are made to lead. But you got all these people that want to be leaders and want to do this and want to do that. That's why one of your comments says that you can be anybody you want on YouTube. You can. You can. That's why I had said about that fakeness, that false news. That once you find out your content creator ain't the person they are not the person they are, don't that kind of hurt a little bit? Aren't you a little disappointed when
It's
someone lies to you?
it's a lot of people on here that are fake. I've been peeping so many people. I've just never said nothing. That when I first came into the YouTube gram of, this whole talk entertainment side, because
Yes.
my
Yeah,
whole
it's
thing
sometimes it's
was,
best not to say nothing. Just let them dig their holes, she.
hey, it was always about money. When I came on YouTube, I would always look up tips on how to fix things, how to, do finance things. And Eric,
Yeah.
like I always talk about Erica Williams, her channel put me onto a lot about business, how to get business finance, how to structure doing wholesaling and stuff like that. I've been into all this stuff for a minute, but I was in and out. I would do it because it's like I'm a jack of all trade and a master of none. I steady doing different little business ventures, different moves to get me to the next step. To make a little money here, make a little money there.
Okay.
I make myself to a point, like as far as work wise, that if I really want to, I can quit my job right now and I can go do something else and I'll still make, decent money to where I'm good, you know. And that's why I always pride myself in, learning different new skills and things of that nature. And so I learned a lot by just, researching things, going on YouTube and going from there. And when I started getting into the actual talk side of it, where people were more or less having live panels responding, that kind of threw me for a loop because, a lot of people are gangsta online because you'll never meet them. I can cuss you out, talk crazy to you because I know you'll never see me. And if that
Fact.
situation happens, then
Fact.
it'll just play out the way it do, And then all the whole saying too, a lot of people don't know people in real life. So I can portray myself to be anything. Like a prime example, dude Charles Faulkner, police officer in this space. This guy always talking about, things that he dealt with as an officer. I can listen to about 20 streams or all his whole playlist, and I come on here and tell you all the different protocols, procedures when it come down to raiding a house, handling domestic situation, because he discusses it all the time. A
You're
lot of people,
learning. You're
yeah,
learning. That's what draws you to the channel. Just like what draws me to your channel is financial stability. You
yeah.
feel? Something that draws me to another person's channel got to be something that either I don't know about or either what y'all, our word for today is entertainment. You feel?
Now, something that you just said, Sheed, it struck me. And it is the nature of what brings people into this particular space, right? Into these spaces where these people are having conversations. Sheed, I have a question for you. Why was it that you had to come on YouTube if you wanted to look up some information on some DIY stuff?
Yeah.
Because there might not be an outlet in real life or close by that you can access in order to find a solution to that problem.
I
I had
like
an
it. You know how
issue with
many
the
people go on
transmission of my
YouTube to
car.
fix their cars?
Mm-hmm.
Man, so
I,
many people go on YouTube to fix their cars. Good point.
Yeah.
I ended up spending about $700
Hey, you know the crazy.
fixing the transmission on my car, parts and tools included. And guess why I did it? Because if I took it to a shop, they're gonna tell me it's gonna be $3,000 for the transmission and $1,500 for the labor.
Is it rad? Is it rad?
Oh yes, it is. I got that thing
Salute
fixed.
to you. Salute to you. Salute to you.
You
Because
I was
know,
some
underneath
people,
that
like
car
she
out there in the
said, they
wintertime.
can't comprehend it. They can't listen. They can't follow directions. So salute to you, my guy.
you know, son. The thing of it was, I went on YouTube one time, but I also looked at a couple of different forums. I had a GMC Sierra pickup truck. I ended up having bad issues, didn't know what was wrong. Come to find out, I had somebody check it out. It was my Cadillac converter. I could have got a universal Cadillac converter, but it would have been two pieces, and they would have had to weld it on. But the top of it, they couldn't weld once they put it on. And so they was giving me all these different clamps. I could put JB Weld around it once they get to the top, and then weld the bottom. And I'm like, why not just get the original part that goes with it? So I end up going to a race car place out here, Summit Motors, and they do a lot of race car stuff, but they have a lot of parts for every car. So I end up getting a Cadillac converter from them for about I think it's about 560 or so, and the dealership was telling me $1,800 to fix that. I went on the forums, went on YouTube, and the craziest part about some of the stuff, I had to watch multiple different videos because all the people on the video, they just show you A and B, and they don't show you the whole, rundown. They show you A and B. And then when it come down to it, they'll, say this is how you do it, this is it, and that's it. So you kind of stuck because you don't really know the whole thing unless you watch certain channels. A1 Auto, I think I watched them a lot, but when it came down to it, I went through the information, looked at the forums, and the forum showed me. And it was one thing all the YouTubers never said that the forum said: do not let, because I had to take the transmission bar down to remove the Cadillac converter, because I had two Cadillac converters on there, and I had to remove the transmission bar to actually put the factory one on there. And they said, whatever you do, don't let your axle move, because if your axle move, you have to get that whole axle and transmission relined. And luckily it moved a hair, but it was, perfect. I put the Cadillac converter on there, drove it, didn't have no issues. I even went and had it checked out at the shop, never had an issue with it, you know. And that's the thing, all this stuff is there, but a lot of people, we here more or less entertained than to actually, try to get on here that can solve a problem. Like, I always talk about with a
And
lawnmower.
one more point. Once you fix that problem with that car, did you have to go back to that video and to that channel over and over and over again once that thing was solved?
Nope.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, I know it's kind of a tangent. I'm going off to the side, but that is the point right there. Is that once the problem is solved, you have no reason to keep frequenting that channel. And there are a lot of channels out here in the manosphere that are something interesting.
Yeah.
Do men watch soap operas? This is just an open question to the panel. Do men watch soap operas?
Yes, they do. Because
I have witnessed men watching soap operas. Yeah.
Hey,
All
we
my
watch one
children.
all the time.
Ooh-wee.
As the world turn or something.
Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't seen
Guiding
Dallas in
Light.
so long.
Y'all remember Guiding Light?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I remember Guiding Light.
I used to
I
watch it
watch
with my
soap
grandma.
operas. I don't know nothing about no Guiding Light.
Soon as it came on, I went to sleep right after Price is Right.
But here's the thing: a lot of these channels, they're nothing more than soap operas. So going back to what Pastor said, a lot of channels are just entertainment.
Yeah, I did a YouTube video called "As the Manosphere Turns," And it was simply based on just like As the World Turns. It's called As the Manosphere Turns. I did videos just based on like the whole Fight Club thing. That was the whole rule about Fight Club. Never talk about Fight Club. It's entertaining now. People are going through this.
And I think I had told Sheet about this. There's some channels out here. I was hooked to them. It was so riveting. All they do on that video is go on to Reddit and find stories on how people got effed over. I saw the red flags, but I ignored them because I love that person. And then XYZ years down the line, once I had grandchildren or before we got married, I found out so and so, and I was heartbroken. And you know what? I realized after maybe watching about 5 hours of that type of content, this shit ain't got nothing to do with me. I haven't had none of these situations. But it was so entertaining.
I thought you were gonna come with a good point. He said, ain't got nothing to do with me.
No, but that's the point. These things didn't have nothing to do with me, but it was so damn entertaining. And I said, ooh, what happened next? Oh, really? Damn, that's foul. That is foul right there. But it had nothing to do with me in the sense that it wasn't helping me in any way, shape, or form. That's the way I really mean it. It wasn't helping me. It wasn't helping.
I just feel like that, like the streaming, like this panel and other panels, it reminds me of the new radio. You know what I mean? A radio show. Yeah, you driving in your car and you're listening to the panel. It feels like the radio.
But it's more addictive than the radio because I ain't saying I did this, but I'm saying that people out there who have, people who talk at the radio, who yell at the radio, people who say, hey, why didn't you say this? Why you let him get away with making that point? That's an outright bald-faced lie right there. You didn't have that ability when you were listening to the radio. I'm not one of those people who talk at the radio. I mean, there are people out there who might have yelled at the radio a time or two, wave their fist at it, but not me. I'm just saying there are people out there who do.
It's like XM radio. That's like, I drive trucks. So this kind of helps me when I'm bored and, getting certain places, especially when I used to drive
What's
at
your
night.
handler name? What's your CB name?
Nah, I just drive straight trucks, but I ain't never used CB. I ain't never used the CB. By the time I got into by the time I really started driving CBs, people wasn't using them as much. But when I used to drive with the 18 wheelers, and they used to just call me the young guy. But when it came down to it, it's like XM radio, that was always big for truckers because you get stations that you can enjoy the whole time. And that's what a lot of these YouTube channels are giving people is like stations that I can enjoy all the time. Getting into certain other channels, then you start have to kind of agree that like maybe these are some things that I can relate to or try to, because that's the thing with me. When I go on panels, sometimes I might just go through somebody's chat and somebody say something that was real interesting. I will click on their actual name. And even if I don't have a wrench, I would go and search their name at the top because you can still hear the person while they're talking and just search their name up. I'm like, okay, let me check out this page and I'm going to come back to what I was looking at because they just said something that was profound. They said something that I can agree with. And I go and look, and that's how most of the times I get a lot of YouTubers like that. I come over there, listen to what they're talking about. I go over there, because that's the thing with a lot of notifications that sometimes they come in, sometimes they don't. But when the ones that do come in, or I remember people's name, I go back and say, dang, I ain't looked at this page in a minute. I ain't heard this person in a while. Go over there, start looking at it, start talking to them, and I start finding out way more stuff than I didn't know. about them, their channel, I'm hooked all over again. That's the thing with the content. If it's good content, I don't mind going over there supporting good content. But to a degree, this whole back and forth, certain topics get, you know, and just more entertaining than usual. And those are the ones I try to stay away from. Like I said, I try to give people more insight on finance and self-awareness. Work on yourself. Build you, even you can go at relationships. If you work on yourself, your relationship issues will be over because you will understand if nobody wants you when you at your best, hey, it's time to do for self. And hey, sometimes people just gotta be alone for a minute. Some people gotta be
Mm-hmm.
alone, and some people just, hey, if it comes down to it, when you get to a certain age, my uncle already
Mm-hmm.
told me when he got to like 50 something, he said, man, ain't no need of me getting married. He said, I have me a woman, but ain't no need of me getting married. I'm 50 years old. I done went damn near half of my life without a
Mm.
wife. What makes me want to get married at 50? People have that mentality. Some people say, I still want love. So it's up to that person. But the point of it is,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to it, it's all depending on that person. If you really want that, go out there and get it. Because my thing, when I be hearing people have issue with the women and the men, when I always hear a woman say there's no good men, because you're looking for the man in your state, you're looking for the man in your area.
Mm-hmm.
You thinking the man is just gonna fall out of the sky and he's gonna say, "I'm here." I'm everything on your checklist. And I
Oh,
mean, to be honest,
I could
a
figure
lot
that
of
it
women checklists
what's
are
your track.
long.
Mm-hmm.
And
I,
when it comes to me,
I figured you are what you attract. If you attract and ain't nothing dudes, then what they leave.
yeah,
and I
Just
gotta
like the
ask,
rich ain't gonna associate with the poor, but the poor wanna associate with the rich. You feel?
one of the issues I had to kind of examine because there's a lot of pushback in these spaces whenever somebody comes in here and says to people, you need to look at yourself. What role did you have to play in a certain situation? People start getting offended. I have to look at myself sometimes, certain situations that go down and say, man, why was I going to such and such place? Why why was I interacting with certain people? What is it about me, or what is it about that interaction with me and that person that that brought me to this place? Sometimes I realize, hey, you know what? This person right here reminds me of this person, the reason I was attracted to them or the reason I was talking to them. In some way, shape, or form, they might remind me of my mama, or they might remind me of some family member that I might not necessarily mess with right now because I got issues with that person. But that same thing,
That sound like triggering. Triggering.
oh, but it's weirder than that because it's magnetic. It's something familiar that attracts you to certain people. But if you never sit back and analyze things, you don't realize that about yourself. You're attracted to something, and it ain't necessarily good. Like that, like that, like that sizzling, crispy, smoky, fatty, succulent bacon sitting over there on that tray.
Look. Don't try to make me hungry. Don't do that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just
My
ate.
mouth
You
started
sound like a
watering just now.
commercial. You
My mouth
sound
started
just
just
like a
watering.
commercial.
but but there's something that brings you to it. So it might not be that bacon on that tray, but you know what it might be? It might be that hamburger. And guess what you'll find when you open up that hamburger? You'll find a piece of bacon up in that.
yeah. When it comes to a lot of the issues, like I say, with people not really knowing they self, so they gravitated to certain content, whether it's good or bad. A lot of people that's on in these spaces, you know, to a degree, they want to be heard. So that's why they start these channels. You probably never had a voice in high school. You probably never had a voice in your family. people on the internet start giving you some type of love, so you're attracted to it.
Or maybe nobody ever understood you. And here you go. You find somebody who's able to understand what you're going through.
Yeah. All depending on the person and the way they move, because man, uh, it's like sometimes, man, it's like going on certain channels. It's like that chalkboard screeching. It gets redundant sometimes. You kind of figure out, why am I here? You start to understand, like, what am I doing in my life? It's just certain situations, man.
And I wanted to mention, I don't know that's the stream that you guys were talking about earlier. However, just from the few hints that I got, it's probably some ish that I've heard about before, Pastor. And there have been people who, they upset with somebody. They want everybody to be upset with that person. So they'll dig up and dish out and tell you about everything just so to break that other person down. So
Ain't that sad? That's why misery loves company.
So that's probably what was going on, because I remember hearing about some of that ish before. And Sheed, is it the thing that I'm thinking about that was talked about on that stream?
I think it might be a little bit
Accusations and stuff.
Yeah,
So it was that. I'm aware of it. I am aware of it. And you know what? I have to think about, what does that got to do with this? If I go to your restaurant, and somebody is telling me how you like dogs, I can't stand dogs.
What?
You have a pet dog and you have the dog trained and I can't stand no dog. Am I gonna stop going to your restaurant? What the hell does that have to do with me going to your restaurant? You cook good. That don't have anything to do with this. Now, it's a different thing if they told me you have a dog up in the kitchen and that dog never walked out of that kitchen after it walked in. That's a different story now. But if you cook good enough, I might still stay and come by every now and then. I'm just saying.
Yeah. When it
That
comes
was
down,
good.
what's going on, Bonzo?
I'm doing all right.
That was a good.
Hey, what's
My
up,
fortune, you
Alonzo?
go ahead. What's up, son?
Nah,
Claude? What's up to the panel?
nah, you can go ahead. I was gonna say something.
What's
Go
up?
ahead.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I literally just clicked on, so I'm trying to catch up. But I was just going to jump on Sunclaw and say, the problem is I can't affiliate with nobody who got dogs. Filthy dog lovers. No, let me stop. No, go ahead, she.
It was, this conversation wasn't directed towards the issue with the guy that was just me and Pastor was talking about. But this issue is about, a lot of times I've been, in the spaces and been catching a lot of people talking about stuff, and you literally have no idea what you're talking about on the topic, but you just want to be included in the situation. Or you have something that you're trying to be a professional on, and you barely have a entry level, you know, education or something to that degree. A lot of people will speak on mental health, and none of them are therapists. They never went to school for it. You never even had a counselor. You never even had a session with a counselor, but you're trying to speak on mental health. And that's the thing. Like, if you get, long as you have a topic to talk about to a degree, some of the loyal people, so called, to People Channel, they're going to be there and listen no matter what. They, oh man, He don't know nothing about finance, but the point of it is, I like him, so I'm gonna visit his channel. And that's what it tends to be with most of these people. A lot of people will follow channels whether they're good or bad, only due to the fact that this person channel, I like this person or I like the channel. When it gets down to the meat and potatoes, they don't show no proof of their work. They actually don't really know what they're talking about, but you're liking this person for other things. If I come, just, prime example with Alonzo. Alonzo, I come to your channel and I pick a lot of stuff from you with finance and especially with insurance because you deal insurance. Now, when it comes down to it, Alonzo, you do know a little bit more about fashion too, and stuff of that nature. Now, if I come to Alonzo's channel and he's talking about truck driving and giving all these different terms and talking about loads and he just giving a brief overview, and I'm like, Alonzo, that's not you. You don't drive trucks. But yeah, I know about it. But I'm just trying to put people on. And I understand there's nothing wrong with that. But once you start giving that misleading or not giving the right information, and someone tries to check people in those channels, that's when it starts to get crazy. That's the main thing. Nobody's feet get held to the fire when it comes to certain topics and certain, detailed information. And that's when the story gets mutilated, the terms get twisted, and then we start having these back and forth. And a lot of these beef, a lot of this stuff I see from a lot of these people know each other. So sometimes to a degree, I don't even believe the beefs. Some guys got people number offline, and now it is some instance where you got a guy number offline and you still would throw some stuff in there because some he say, she say stuff. And in my opinion, I look at most of these guys like, why? If I know a guy and I have his number, I'm gonna call you, which I've done in most cases when I had incidents with people. I will call you, and if you don't answer, then that's when I have to catch you on YouTube and say, hey, what's up? I'm gonna have to air it out then because I try to do it behind closed doors, you know. And it's to a degree like if you guys know each other, you squash your back door. There's no reason for two guys to know each other to let a third wheel come in between that conversation of y'all friendship. And even if you don't have friendship as a kinship of respect, whether it be two women, whether it be two men, y'all have a discussion off like, hey man, I'm gonna start up a live. It's gonna be private. It's gonna be recorded. You already know because that's how it is. Even though it's private, you say some things, I say some things, and that's it. That's why I was telling Pastor when every time Pastor talk, he get clipped on things. So knowing that you're gonna get clipped on something, dude, watch what you say because people will take that situation that he had about him, and his, nursing and stuff, and they flipped it all the way to mean something else. And that was one situation he talked about what he had when he was young, and people took it, flipped it upside down, spin it around, and threw it back out there as something totally different. That's why I was like, whoa, I've been talking to Pastor for a while in these spaces, and I've heard this guy be truthful. And I tell him, I'm like, he's a little bit too truthful in my opinion. I mean, it's some things I would never tell nobody. I kind of take it to the grave. And if it was a situation that I'm still not embarrassed of, but people just don't need to know these things. And I told him, you've been literally too truthful about situations for the most part that people are able to spin stuff because they don't. If nobody really knows certain people, you'll spin any narrative. So I would rather go to the person, let them discuss it, and I'm gonna take it for face value until I get proof otherwise.
I liked it. I liked it.
Yep.
Rashid, I did do something on my channel that I knew just little about. And it was the last live I did. We did something on repairing your credit. I had a credit analyst up there, and I didn't think it'll go anywhere. I really didn't. I didn't feel it because, like you said, how can I tell you about something I'm not doing? So I kind of had got shied away from the subject and stuff like that. But at the end of the live, when I ended it, I think I left it up there for 3 days and stuff. A lot of young people was commenting on it. You saved my life. I never knew that. I just started the bank account, my first bank account. Thank you, Paige. I love you, school. I love you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this got to be something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing. See, it's not the thing that you have to be a professional at what you're talking about, but you just research and give the information and what you know. Like that's something basic as giving a young person how to open up a bank account, how to like my friend, he wrote a book called The Green Book. And this
Okay.
is just like a basic book for youth. It's not for adults. Well, to a degree, it's some adults because some adults haven't opened up
Some
account.
adults haven't grew up.
Yeah,
They still teenagers.
some adults don't know the basics on, like dealing with insurance, dealing with a 401k at your job. I mean, I was under the impression when I first started my job, like a 401k, what's that? The way they explained it to me, I wasn't interested until like a couple of years of being there because I'm like, I might quit anyway because I was young. And then when I started making good money, I revisit the 401k. But then when the market crashed, like I think in '08, and I lost a lot of money in there, I was like, dang. So they just took my money and it was like technically your job or whatever puts in so much and y'all get it throughout the stock. But I'm like, at the end of the day, that was my money. No matter what y'all say, it was my money because that's what it showed my name, my account, my dividends of 15,000. And then when they the market crash, it went down to I think it was like 12 or 4 or 8, whatever it went down to. But I'm like, that was my money. So that's why I always talk about with Alonzo. When me and Alonzo have discussions, I told him, I said a 401k is nothing compared to a universal index. With the universal index, you have those situations to where if the market crash, your money stays the same. And a lot of people don't know that. That's why I was saying, Alonzo,
You
one of the
just taught
people,
me something I didn't know that.
yeah, me and him,
Yeah.
Alonzo is now this is the thing, Paige. You can actually connect with Alonzo and see if he want to come to your channel and talk about this because Alonzo sells life insurance. I got life insurance through my for my kids through him, you know, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know.
Awesome.
I always say that about our our community. It's a lack of knowledge because to a degree, our parents didn't know these things. And when it comes down to it, if our parents didn't know, who's handing down the information? The younger generation now, they're learning on the fly about all this stuff, and they're choosing to either take it and run with it or complain about the last generation that didn't give them, this and give them that.
Can I say something real quick though? Two
Go
things.
ahead.
What's your name, young lady, up top?
Paige.
Paige. Okay. So Paige, a very important thing that you said when you did your show, yes, you may not have known about credit, but you automatically said you brought somebody who had the credentials. You brought a credit counselor. So that automatically brings validity. That's not you going up there not knowing what you're talking about. That's you using your presence and saying, hey, I don't know everything. I know a little bit, but here's somebody who does this. Y'all should come along and see what they do. Very similar to what she does. And like he said, I have to, especially with the Black community, I have to pull some of the blame back from the parents or the children. When I was at the 2021 CAAFP, which is the Conference of African American Financial Professionals, hosted by the American College of Financial Services, you can go to www.theamericancollege.edu and check that out. But the American College of Financial Services said that in 2021, 6.7% of licensed financial professionals were Black. So that's part of the reason that there's a lack of that knowledge in our community. One of the huge reasons that there's that lack of knowledge in our community is, number one, like the thumbnail says, the blind leading the blind. But number two is professionals are not going out there and it's partially our fault, right? Because there's a lot of professionals who aren't going out there teaching it, or they're teaching it wrong. I'll give you an example. I have a young gentleman who also sells life insurance on my Facebook, And one of the big things that people talk about now is the infinite banking concept. But when he went and he was like, oh yay, I'm really happy, I just sold my first infinite banking to a client, which is an IUL, or indexed universal life insurance policy. There's a whole bunch of different types. Paige, get with me, I'll come on your page and talk about those. But he sold them an indexed universal life insurance policy. That's great, but just selling somebody an indexed universal life insurance policy is not, I repeat, is not giving them an infinite banking. Just for you know, I'm gonna try and not use a bunch of you know, $20 words in insurance terms so I can make it easy to understand.
Please break it down.
But so here's the deal with life insurance, right? We're just going to look at IULs, which are investment grade life insurance. It's a life insurance policy that's attached to the S&P 500, meaning, like she said, it mirrors the S&P 500. So I want you to look at what most people look at, which is equities or index funds, right? Like a S&P 500 index fund. Well, when that index fund goes up, your money goes up. But when that index fund goes down, your money goes down. The difference is with an index universal life insurance, it mirrors that, right? But it gives you a ceiling and floor. So same scenario, when that index goes up, your money goes up. Now, if you have a ceiling, so if the market explodes 20%, you might only be able to benefit at 12%, but it beats a blank. But here's the flip side of that. When the market goes down, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's the flip side?
So the flip side is when the market goes down, right? In the S&P fund, the market goes down, your money goes down. In the index universal life insurance policy, the market goes down, your money stays where it's at until the market goes back up. There's no down. Right? So it's not taught to many people like that, right? I don't like to bash companies, but I'll call them MLM style companies, generally 3-letter companies.
Why do you call them 3 letters?
Well, generally they are 3 letters. So when I say 3 letters, those 3 letters are MLM,
Right.
multi-level marketing. You may have heard of one that we all know, Primerica, Family First Life, FinFit Life, People Helping People, World Financial Group, which is Transamerica. I'm sure there's a few others, but they unfortunately train their agents wrong. And they train them towards just getting the sale.
Wow.
One of the flaws you'll see is like buy term, invest the difference, right? I'm sure everybody's heard that, because even Dave Ramsey says that, right? I'm not even going to blame Primerica or any of these companies, because at the end of the day, it's not about the company. It's about the financial representative and their knowledge of how they can help you, the client. But let's use Dave Ramsey. I like beating up on Dave Ramsey. He always tells you to buy term and invest the difference, which works for some people, but generally he's saying buy a term policy and then invest, quote unquote, the difference, which would be saying take $25 or $50 a month and put it in a mutual fund. What he's literally telling you to, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm listening. I'm corresponding. Go ahead.
No problem. So what that would be the equivalent of is being in a canoe that's sinking and using the thimble from Monopoly to try and bail out the water, while the guy in the canoe next to you has a 5-gallon bucket that he's bailing water out because he's actually investing. See, when you come to investing, right, the minimum investment that you can actually invest, and yes, they have these small no fund accounts at Vanguard and Fidelity, and they're just doing that to take your money and give you no benefit. But the minimum investment you can actually invest with is $10,000, right? $10,000 happens to equate to $834 a month. So you're telling people who can't afford $400 a month on a life insurance policy to invest, which is $834 a month, to be equivalent to the minimum investment that would be at least like having a 1-gallon bucket of water, as opposed to $50 a month in a mutual fund, which would be taking the thimble from Monopoly, trying to bail water out of your boat. You're going to sink and drown. The 5-gallon bucket, you might be getting 5 gallons of water out at a time. So you might be able to float and push yourself back to shore. Yes, you might sink, but you're gonna sink with that thimble. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Please do tell. Do tell.
No problem. Listen, I can do this for a while. I thank you for listening. Sometimes I feel like it falls on deaf ears.
No, it's not falling on deaf ears. I'm actually jotting notes down. I'm in a recording studio. I'm in the front. So
Okay.
I'm actually jotting notes down.
No problem. So let's actually, can I go for a little while, She? I don't think she minds. And I don't think you mind either, Paige, right?
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
she, where are you?
I'm good. I'm right here. You go ahead.
Okay.
I was wet. I couldn't hit the
He making a sandwich. That's what he does.
That's what he doing. What you doing, she? You done left the stage and everything.
I'm like
Nice
SunCloud.
show.
I'm like SunCloud. I'm over here trying to cook me some dinner without bacon.
Oh,
Alright,
that sounds
as
good.
long as this ain't no what's dude's name on the talk show, y'all? That used to get his nose broke all the time. Gerardo.
Oh,
As long as
man.
this ain't no Gerardo, we good. Let's go.
Okay. So one thing I want to mention, and this is what she actually, I'm going to do a presentation on that. So she was talking about your 401k versus a life insurance policy. Now, nobody knows that you can actually do this with your life insurance policy. It's called a LIRP, LIRP, Life Insurance Retirement Plan. Well, why don't they want you to do that? Because financial advisors like myself get paid a boatload more money and do a boatload less work by selling your company a 401k. Right? So here's the problem with a 401k. Your annual maximum as of this year is $20,500. That's the most you can put into there. Now, most Americans aren't maxing out their 401k. So let's look at something else that a lot of people can max out, which would be an IRA, which you can max out at $6,500 per year. Now, did you know that you can, let's just use the $6,500, you can put $6,500 or more away a year in a life insurance policy. It grows tax-free. It does grow cash value depending on the type of policy and the way it's set up. But for purposes of this conversation, I'm just telling you, the 30,000 foot view.
The basic.
Yeah. So it grows tax-free, right? You can then borrow against it if you so choose. But it grows faster than if you were to go to Google right now and type in high yield bank account, you would find Marcus Millichap, which is Goldman Sachs. They're generally at a 0.5% interest rate. Now, if you find the money market accounts, they're probably at a 1.2% interest rate. Say again?
1.2?
Yeah, that would be for a money market account. Right? And a high yield savings account will get you 0.5% interest. Now, life insurance, right, grows at a minimum, and I undersell, right, so that I underpromise and overdeliver. That's kind of the way I am. But life insurance was growing at a 4% interest. Currently, because of IRC, Internal Revenue Code 7702, reenacted by Joe Biden, life insurance grows at a maximum 3% for just regular whole life, monthly compound interest. So what that means is if you put your money with Goldman Sachs and you put $100 away with them, you have to allow that $100 to sit in that bank account for 1 year to earn you 50 cents. On the flip side, if you put that $100 away into a life insurance policy, you have to wait 1 month for that, again, at a 3% monthly compound interest, for that $100 to earn you $3. Would you prefer 50 cents a year or $3 a month?
I would prefer $3 a month instead of the 50 cents with Saks. Let's go. Do tell.
Right. But again, financial advisors like myself are going to make way more money by telling you to put the money into the Goldman Sachs account. Plus, the difficulty with life insurance is that you do have to qualify through your health and age. And so things become cost prohibitive because during our teens and
my
20s,
next question. That was gonna be my next question.
you know what? I'm not going to cut you off.
I
Ask
want
the
to
question.
get deeper into that right there.
Ask that question, sis. Ask that question.
All right, let's go. Does the rates go up because of the area you live in or because of the risk or high crime infested neighborhoods, low income and everything? Does that play a factor in the assessment?
So, in terms of life insurance, no. In terms of property and casualty or car insurance, yes. Because it's property. So, in certain areas, low income, et cetera, the probability of damage is higher. But when you're looking at life insurance, it really isn't factored in that way. The way they factor it is through things like your health history, your family health history, So what the life insurance company is going to ask is, well, number one, we're going to do a motor vehicle history. So we're going to run your motor vehicle report. We're going to do a prescription check. So you can tell me that you've never taken any medicines. Doesn't matter to me. We're going to run a prescription check and find out all medicines you've ever been prescribed. We're also going to take up to 6 years of your medical records. So when that insurance agent is asking, hey, has this happened? Actually, I'll give you an example. There's a buddy of mine who I sat with who's in excellent health as of today. He's, got great health. But back in 2012,
you can't buy great health. You can't put price on great health. Let's go.
This is true. But he had cancer in 2012. Well, when he applied for life insurance, over $1 million worth of coverage with me, he told me, no, I didn't have any kind of cancer complications, nothing ever. So that's what I put on the application, a legally binding document.
Whoa.
So then when it got to the insurance company, they called me like, you sure? I was like, what did you want me to put him under a lie detector test? I'm going to take the person's word for it. They were like, well, we ran his medical history, and it says here back in 2012 he had cancer. So we need to know the doctor, what happened, Needless to say, he was declined for the life insurance because he was
in trouble for that, though.
No, there's no recourse to the agent. We have to pay
anything like that. All right, okay.
Yeah, no, that doesn't hurt me.
Huh? It taught you like to steal chick.
Yeah. I was like, as far as I knew, he was in perfect health. He looks like a chiseled Adonis to me. So I'm like, all right, you in good health. But they was like, nah, this dude had cancer. We ain't giving up $1 million for that. So things that do factor in, though, are things like your age, your family health history, right? If you've had family who's died at a certain age, usually before the age of 65, they'll get at you there. If you have, certain health conditions that may be in your family, they'll get you there. Does that kind of answer your question?
Oh, yes. You answered that off the first input. You just answered that in one sentence, but you went through your example and experiences on just taking people's word and how serious it is with your health history and your family.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to keep going.
Oh,
Because I'm listening.
Okay, I'll keep going, sister. Listen, this is the energy I love. So, if I can educate.
If you think I'm not listening, comprehending, and taking it in, jotting down these notes, you're on another level, buddy. You are.
Well, thank you, sister. So let's go back to, again, like she was saying, and I was saying, with the retirement plan, the life insurance retirement plan. So again, a lot of agents are going to gear you towards going to the Marcus Millichap, aka Goldman Sachs, because you don't have to go through that health qualification, right? And there's this thing called commission that insurance agents get. So the industry average, and again, this is also why I dislike those MLM companies I mentioned, because they pay their agents up to 200%, right? So, for example, if you pay $1,000 a month on your life insurance, they're getting $2,000 a month paid, right? But they get screwed over in the long run because insurance is not supposed to be like real estate where you're hustling for the next sale, right? Sheed and I did business. What is this now, Sheed? And I need to do another review with you soon. About 2 years ago. I'm still being paid from that. Now, when they pay you 200% commission, you're not going to get what's called the residual income, right? But most agents
it's not going to keep coming.
Nope. They're just going to pay you one
It's
chunk
just
and call it a
one
day.
payout.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's one payout. But let me ask you this right here. I'm not even going to ask you because you already told me that. They're actually pushing you to sell the 50 cents because we're still talking about the 50 cents, right?
Yes.
When you're really breaking it down, saying, go over there and get them $3. You know, the detail of the 50 cents is so intriguing though. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. How they just
oh my God, I love you, Paige.
Okay.
No.
I'm so sorry because it's like I'm watching a movie. Just like I said, this reminds me of radio, but it's actually helping. So let's go.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my viewers on my page, I don't think they have insurance. They're just 300 of my viewers actually know me in real life.
Oh wow.
You feel? Yeah, it's true. It's true. It is true. I threw a little party and yeah, it's actually true. And I know they ain't thinking about insurance, they ain't thinking about credit, they're not thinking about and we're at a certain age where it's time. You know, some of them still on the couch, they just so that's the audience I cater to. The have-nots.
Okay, we definitely gonna.
I'm telling you, I'm just breaking it down because this is very important because I'm tired of them putting buckets in my store. So I need to put insurance cards in there, life insurance and stuff. I need to push that agenda.
I appreciate it because, sis, you just broke down what I told to you, and so I know you jotting it down because you said so they pushing you to sell the 50 cent, and you telling folks, listen, go over there and get them $3. Oh my God! If you'll have me, Paige, I would love to come to your channel, and I could talk about this for 4 hours straight.
Yeah,
but
I would love for you to. But yeah, okay. I still want to finish your presentation. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no problem.
So it's gonna touch. It's gonna touch more than one person. That's what I'm saying.
I appreciate it. Each one teach one.
It's gonna touch more than me.
So with the retirement plan, like I said, the max you can put into that IRA is $6,500. You can put way more than that in a life insurance policy. The max you can put into a 401k is $20,500. Then once you make a certain amount, you can't even contribute that to your 401k or an IRA. But with a life insurance
was 10,000.
That's that's an investment. All right. To do an investment, an investment, the minimum is 10,000. For an IRA for an IRA, which is an individual retirement account or individual retirement annuity, the maximum is 6,500. Unless you're above 50, then it's 7,000. In a 401k, the maximum is 20,500 as of this year that you can contribute. So with a life insurance policy, and again, this is a cash value life insurance policy, so that's whole life basically. You can put as much as you can. So if you could put 21,000, 25,000, 35,000, 100,000 a year away, you can do that. And it's tax-free growth. Oops. But, go get that 50 cent, y'all.
And let me jump in there too.
No.
Let me jump in there too, because me and Alonzo, we always had
Look
this.
how he just walked off stage.
We always have this conversation, and that's what I always get down to, the meat and potatoes, because my whole thing is this: at least about 10 years, that universal life insurance will start to mature to where you start seeing the value in all these years of the policy. It does it, when you first get it within the first 3 to 4 years, but you start seeing some money. But within that 10-year mark, that's when you start seeing, okay, I'm making moves. Because see, the biggest thing that I learned being young, and my grandmother, my great grandmother, they always told me, they said, never be a burden to nobody, and there's no shame to the people that do, GoFundMe accounts. But to a degree, you're relying on someone else to take care of you or your family members that they really don't know. It's almost like a pity thing, to the point where if they don't want to do it, then who's going to help you bury your family member? And that's one side. But then another side with the life insurance is, especially with whole life and universal life, you're planning for the future, just in case something happens down the line. Let's say you lose your job. Let's say, you've been working at a job 15 years, 20 years, had life insurance. You lose your job, no one's hiring. You go about, a couple of months. That life insurance policy, you can go into that policy, pull out of that policy, and pay some bills, keep your house. A lot of people can't maintain a sustained life because they don't have savings. And particularly, I actually look at my life insurance as my savings account. So down the line, if anything ever happens to me, I already know I got a safety net, because if I'm putting in, let's say I put my money in a general savings account, once again, from year to year, that's when I get my percentage, my point, 003 or 007 off the money that I put in there. So with me having that life insurance, preferably I always talk about universal, especially the index, because it goes off the S&P 500. Dude, when the market goes up, your money goes up. ETFs are always good to take advantage of. The ETF Spider, I've been watching that lately. ETF Spider, man, every 5 years, awesome numbers.
Wow.
And that's the thing. Even if you're not even interested in stocks, getting this universal life insurance is playing the stock game. A lot of people say, well, I don't own stocks. I don't know nothing about stocks. Once you get that universal life insurance, you're invested in stocks. Once you get that universal life insurance, you're invested in long-term savings. And see, a lot of people look at like I said, 401k. You only can put 20,000 at max in there. Most people are not going to hit that max point, just like Alonzo said. You'll be lucky if, with your job contributing the money into that account and matching and helping you. But if any disaster happens, like I said, 07, 08, I think it was 08 when I lost all that money in my 401k, I couldn't get that money back. But with my life insurance, right now when 2020 just happened with the crisis, I didn't lose anything. My money is still
2020 was a good year for me.
Yeah,
I had a bunch of roller. Everybody's 401k was crashing. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
My
and
fault. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no,
I
no.
just want people to, especially on my end, my channel, I want them to really take into this, because it got to be embarrassing to be setting up buckets to put your family member in the ground. What, it's not cool to have life insurance? What, it's not the thing. That ain't the new wave. Come on, y'all. It's time to get serious. That's all I'm thinking about over there.
Here's what's funny, Paige. I'm gonna blow y'all mind with this one, and I shared it on my YouTube community tab. But I was going over the CMG Music Group contract for the artist because I have a family member who is trying to sign up with them, and one of the clauses is that the company, the record label, is going to get life insurance on the rapper. It's called COLI, COLI. Corporate owned life insurance. So you wonder why when all these rappers come out with these $300,000 and $500,000 worth of chains on, and yet they've only sold, 1,000 albums, why do they end up dead the following week? Always in some mysterious circumstances, and it's always some robbery gone awry where none of the material that they have on is ever taken. Have you noticed that in the past 3 years? Let's look at XXX
I'm talking about like
Tentacion.
back to back to back. Do tell.
It's something called COLI, corporate-owned life insurance. So what's it to me as a record label? I just spent $5 million on your tour and your album and your rap kit to get the gold chains and the Ferrari and the Rolls Royce and shoot music videos and record label record time. And then I spend $100,000 on a life insurance policy. And then I go down to Brooklyn and get the Hasidic Hitman, because that's a real thing. There's a guy called the Hasidic Hitman. And I have him put on a black latex, a latex mask that looks like features of a black man. Comes through, boom, 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 shoots you. Your quote unquote ops that you've already been on Instagram discussing, all the rap lyrics that you sing about. Well, nobody's gonna. Okay, so I spent $5.1 million to get back, I don't know, 20, 30 million. Yes, there are management fees on 401k, but those management fees are generally. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, the COLI, right? That's crazy. They also have something called BOLI, BOLI, which is bank-owned life insurance. And I actually showed a document from, I think it was 2019, where just Bank of America itself, they put $6 billion into equity investments without readily determinable fair value. What that means is they put $6 billion in the stock market. That same year, they put $21.5 billion into cash value life insurance.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm putting $6 billion into one thing, I'm gearing everybody to go there, right? But I'm the bank, and I'm putting $21 billion into something that I'm telling the average American to not go to. Again, because they're telling me to tell y'all to go get 50 Cent while they're going and getting the $3 and telling you, nah, this $3 ain't nothing. All it is a check for when you die. And especially our community, the have-nots, I ain't really worried about leaving nobody a check for when I die.
Fact.
Right? Now, here's a funny thing about specifically the black community, and this is a Yahoo Finance article. Black people believe in the power of life insurance and buy more life insurance than white people. So then why is there still this wage gap? Well, I'll explain to you why. Because black people, unfortunately, buy life insurance wrong. How much is $100,000? $50 a month? All right, that's all I need. I just don't want to be a burden.
I can't help but. No, sorry.
You've heard it before.
I can see.
Right? Now, the reality is when and we're talking about leaving a legacy, right? So most of the agents in like those 3-letter companies, if you came to me, Paige, and I was a 3-letter company person, I guess that's the intentional millionaire, Sunclaw. And I want to talk about Slick Rick's comment too in a second. But you come to me and you say, hey, Alonzo, I want $100,000 worth of life insurance. I'm 50 years old, female, non-smoker. Boom, how much? The average agent's just going to kowtow and make that sale. Right?
Yeah.
then you've got, a
That's what the
superstar agent.
train. That's what the train would do.
Yeah. Right. Now, an experienced agent might say, well, how'd you come to that number? And then they'll say, well, we need to calculate a few things. Now, you make $50,000 a year, and the average funeral is $21,000. The average cremation funeral is $8,500. This is nationally. Obviously, it's going to vary in certain places. And most people cut corners, and that's why they pay $3,000. Well, I cremated my Aunt Sue last month, and it was only $3,000. Yes, and you didn't have any flowers, and people had to fry their own chicken, and it was,
Stop! You stop it right now! Explain it.
I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
Making me bust out laughing in class. You're gonna get me put out.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to learn. Go ahead. Do too.
Right? So the average funeral being, like I said, $21,000. If you make $50,000 a year, so take away $21,000, because people got to realize when a person dies, two things go away. One is their presence, but what's that other thing? Their income. Mm-hmm. So their income goes away as well, right? Yeah. So let's say the husband and wife, and the wife dies, who's a stay-at-home wife, because I get this from guys all the time. Well, my wife stays at home. I'm the breadwinner. I don't need a policy on her. Oh, really? Okay. So, and there's actually a person in the YouTube space whose wife died. So now she passes.
My condolences. Sorry to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this was about a decade ago, but she passes still. Yeah, it hurts them still. So she passes, but no, there was no income, but now her presence is gone. So guess who has to get up now every day early in the morning, earlier, because now he got to wake up the kids, keep the kids ready for school, get them fed, and get them out the door. Oh, that means I got to be an hour late to work every day. Well, the boss don't like me being an hour for work, so I got to figure out either a nanny or something and pay for that. Oh, I get off. The kids get out of school at 3:00. Well, I work a 9 to 5. So my boss ain't gonna let me take lunch at 3:00 to go meet my kids and then come back. So there's income needed for that. Mm-hmm. Oh, I work 2 jobs now because my wife's gone and I need extra income. Ooh. Who's gonna watch the kids while or feed the kids while so you see how it's a multi-connected thing. Now let's go back. So they might say, well, if you want to leave an income, Mr. Husband, for your family, and I'm using this because I am targeting Black men, because if we want our community to be better, it stands at our feet, brothers. Stop blaming the women for everything. So what it takes is, I make $50,000 a year. Well, I need to leave that for at least 20 years since I got kids, right? So the average person comes to me, I need $100,000. It's 2 years of my income. No, you need to leave 20 years of your income, just like your kids are on your health insurance until they're 24, especially if they go to college. So you would put them on the plan to, because you go to work every day and bust your behind to make sure to provide a lifestyle. So a better agent would help you identify and protect that lifestyle. So they would say, hey, you make $50,000 a year. So you need to leave 20 years of your income. So that just happens to be, you need $1 million worth of life insurance. What? $1 million? Why do I need $1 million? Because $1 million is 50,000 times 20 is 1 million. So you've left 20 years of legacy for your family. I got, especially in our community, I know folks who every year throw a party in honor of their lost so-and-so. Well, I know, especially with my folks, I like to throw parties and I like to pay for everything and have people come in and enjoy it. So when I die, I'm going to make sure that y'all can afford to throw a big party in my name every year for the next 20 years.
Mm.
Right? Now, a step above that, right? An all-star advisor like myself would come to you with that same scenario. And then I'd say, okay, but you're looking to leave generational wealth, right? Okay, cool. So here's how we're going to do this. Your $1 million policy is, yeah, that's all right, but that's not going to leave generational wealth. What you need is a $10 million policy. Now, when you pass, you're going to also have introduced me to your family, and we're going to take that $10 million once you've passed, and we're going to take that $10 million and now we're going to throw it over to Goldman Sachs and Marcus Millichap. And 0.5% interest off of $10 million happens to be $50,000. But because it's in that money market account that you don't have to touch and you can just live off the interest, you've now given your family generations of $50,000 a year until you close that bank account. Mic drop.
Mm, mm, mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
He
but
said, I don't want to
Once you
recommend.
go on to prison and income, but you can
hey,
do
hey,
it
that
away
be my
where the
thing.
income can party on.
I don't have
Women,
enough.
give this man a hand. Man,
Thank you.
That's what I be tell people. You don't have enough. When it comes down to you preparing for your family, due to inflation, you gotta understand. In the 70s, when those people were getting those pensions and told them, and 60s, 70s, they were getting pensions and say, well, in 20 years, you will have $60,000 for your pension. People like 60,000. Oh man, that's awesome. They don't live 40 years and it's coming to the 2000s. 60,000 can't do nothing for them. You know how many older people had these pensions and they really didn't pay out as planned? So now they're in a situation where they have to get up and go to work. They didn't go into Social Security. They were going into a pension plan. Or they would sit here and say, well, I'm going to get this $20,000. I'm going to get this $10,000 life insurance policy. And back in the day, the older people were paying on a $10,000 life insurance policy, they was paying about $25. They've been paying that $25
I remember
for
when the
60
insurance man
years.
used to walk up to the house, take checks and cash.
Exactly. That's the thing. But the older people that been paying those policies like that, they've been paying $25 for almost 60 years. And come to find out, they only had $15,000 in the policy. If they do the math, you done paid that policy over probably 3 times over for the most part. Some people, or you barely hit it.
Shoot, I'm dealing with that right now with my grandmother, and she refuses to take my advice and cancel the policy. So she purchased so when we look at, and I can't wait to come up on your channel page if you'll have me. But let's look at.
I have you. You know that.
I understand, but I still gotta be respectful. Let's look at term versus permanent.
Okay.
And or what most people know as term life insurance versus whole life insurance. Let's first look at term life insurance. Because again, most people who, if you buy a $10 million policy, a whole life policy is going to be nearly unaffordable for the average person. Right? That's why people will also push term, because it's vastly more affordable. But if you're buying a term, know that you're planning on dying soon, right? If you come to me and you say, I want a 10-year term life insurance policy, okay, so you plan on dying in 9 years or less. Because if you don't, all that money that you spent on that term life insurance goes to the company, and that death benefit doesn't happen. Only 1% of term life insurance policies in existence pay out. 1%. So that's why a lot of people push term, because the company got a 99% chance of not ending up having to pay out. Why wouldn't I bet that? Right?
It's like the stock market. Let's go.
Yeah. Now, when you're looking at term policies, you also need to realize that there are different types of term policies, right? And not all companies offer, and certain states don't offer all types of policies. So let's look at the most common one, which is just term. So term meaning generally it's 1, 5, 10. Well, generally it's 1 and 5 years are rare, but generally it's 10, 20, and 30-year terms, which you'll see. The most commonly sold term policy is a 20-year term. So they're running around telling people, plan on dying in 19 years, plan on dying in 19 years, plan on dying in 19 years. Don't even worry about the 50 cents, and definitely don't look at the $3, but just plan on dying in 19 years, and your family will get a big check, right? That's literally what they're saying. Now, go ahead. It is wild, right?
The hustle.
Hey, but I ain't mad at them. It is a hustle, right? Now, check this out. They also have something called increasing term, right? Because regular term, what I just said, the 10, 20, 30, that's what they call level term, meaning that the price you pay remains the same throughout the entirety of the term. They also have something which is called increasing term, which is basically a year-to-year term policy. And this is an option with all term policies. So if you don't die in that 19th years and you live the 20th year, your policy isn't completely gone. What they'll do is they'll give you the option to renew. However, let's say it was, a 50-year-old who's spending $200 a year or $250 a year for a $250,000 death benefit. Well, when you pass year 19 and you get into year 20, they'll say, hey, yeah, you could keep that policy, the same $250,000 death benefit, but instead of $250 a year, well, you're 20 years older now, so it's going to be $2,500 a year. Oh, and then the next year, it's going to be $4,500 a year. Oh, and then the next year, it's going to be $6,800 a year, because that's called increasing term. So the price keeps going up, but your death benefit stays the same. So there's also decreasing term. They don't sell this too much anymore, but that was, now you'll hear a lot of agents run around and tell you about mortgage protection life insurance, and that's what used to be decreasing term. So let's say you've got a $250,000 house. You would have bought a $250,000 30-year term policy, but every year the death benefit would get smaller until the 30th year when the death benefit is zero, because it's assumed that the obligation that you had the term life insurance policy for is no longer existent, meaning your mortgage. Now, so far I've named all things that are beneficial to who? The insurance agent and the insurance company. And yeah, your family don't care if it's a term or a permanent when you die and you leave them $1 million. They're not going to be like, man, I wish you would have bought this as a whole life. I get that. But outside of the death benefit, the reason they call it life insurance is because you're supposed to benefit from it during your life, right? So you can purchase life insurance on someone as soon as they are 15 days old. Quick flex, and then I'll get back to explaining permanent and term. But a quick flex. Back in 2012, when my godson was born, his father, at the baby shower, his father's best friend got my godson a great gift, and I was a little jealous. He bought him some baby Jordans, the Concords. I guess they're the Jordan 11s. My godson is 10 years old now. I don't think he still has those Jordan. But I flexed and I said, oh, you got him some Jordans? Oh, my fault. I just got him $30,000. What? Well, I bought him a life insurance policy that I pay $9.10 a month on, or $120 a year. Now, when he's 18, he won't have the full $30,000 because the policy wasn't set up that way. And I know more now than I did then, especially as in 2012, I was just getting into the industry. But at 18, he'll have minimum $7,500 available to him. Do you
Yeah.
think he's gonna want them baby Jordans or that $7,500 to buy Jordans at 18? Right?
Yeah, that's the facts. You know, and that be the biggest thing. You know, long term. A lot of people thinking of short gains right now with getting those small policies, but long term, getting those big gains, thinking about the future. You know, basically, I already said it too. My whole thing is be on the road to have over 1 million plus due to inflation. I know I'm gonna get that with the universal policy that I have, but you know, just like we talked about me and you having it physically on paper, that's what I'm looking towards. That to where it'll be nothing but just more of an increase for me to have that extra money because you know even this is a plug. One of my the universal life insurance, it told me that the yearly statement and the projected, if you continue with the policy at the rate that you're going, pretty much it said by 78 I have what is it 3.4 million dollars at 78. At the projected time, the way the market is now, that's projected. That doesn't mean, in the next couple of years, if the market does well over, I have more than that. But it just at the projected market at the time I got the account set up, that will be my goal at 78. And I'm 39 now. So a couple more years, a whole lot more years, but if I hit 78, I have $3.4 million. Now, due to inflation, that $3.4 million won't be a whole lot, but it'll be a good little penny, than most, you know. And that's the thing. That's why I be trying to get people to understand, like it's a long term game. Just like you were saying about your nephew about those Jordans when he was a kid, compared to getting that 7,500 at 18. That's the thing. And then even with that 7,500, he can take that and invest it in something and get even more money.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So, and I just realized y'all are definitely getting. I'm feeling the love because it's Football Thursday and football is on, but I'm gonna stay here. So with the term, those only benefit the insurance agent or the insurance company, right? Now, there's actually something called ROP, return of premium term. Yes, it's going to be more expensive than a regular term policy, but at the end of the term, they give you all the money you spent on the policy back. Or you can convert it. You can renew it. Or you can do what's called convert, which this is why I don't understand why people like Dave Ramsey be like, or Primerica be like, only term. Because term insurance has an option called convertibility, where at a point in time later down the line, you can and will be encouraged to, by the insurance company itself, switch from a term policy to a whole life policy. So why wouldn't you just start with whole life to begin with?
Yeah. Let me say something right quick to Slick the Rick. All right, so this is the thing. My thing is I'm not looking to be 78 to get that money. I'm looking to take out a loan at minimum, probably in my 50s or 60s, and go invest in properties. See, this is the thing. I'm not gonna wait to the end game. I'm gonna take benefit. I'm gonna take use of that money while it's maturing over time. And see, that's the thing. That's what a lot of people. You want to wait to the end to get the bulk, but at the same time, the money. If you're having access to funds at a certain limit, let's say a deal structure. Because I seen you earlier talking about the insurance. I mean, not the insurance, but property. Let's say if I wanted to buy some property. Let's say if I wanted to buy some land. With me having this insurance set up, and I run across a deal to where same thing as Boosie did when he came and bought his land in Atlanta. I run across 40 acres for about $400,000 or $200,000. If I'm already having the money in that account to where I can just sign a couple papers, get that advance, have that money transferred into my account, go buy that land, then I'm already set up. I'm paying myself back anyway, so it's benefiting me. That's a form of banking, but to a degree, that's what the whole life insurance is set up for, long term. You know, if I were to sit here and try to buy 40 or 400 acres of land with no money, that's not happening. You know, we can go get a Disney book and we can read that before I actually get that loan set up with no money and nothing backing me. You know, that's the thing. You think long term. That's why I'm not gonna wait till I turn 78 to get the money. I'm gonna take advantage of the money in my 50s and my 60s. Even if I don't take advantage of that money at that moment, I should have. If I'm having 3.4 at 78, you know, even half of those numbers, I should have at least close to $1 million within my 50, 60 range. You know, simple math. But go ahead, Lonzo.
Well, the other thing, actually, to address what Slick Rick was talking about earlier in terms of real estate being a good flex, you should actually check out WAC 100, since he's not licensed, but so many more individuals will listen to him. He said, listen, get that whole life. Don't get that term mess. Get that whole life insurance, because every time my big blood ass goes to go get a real estate deal or buy some real estate, I just take the money out my life insurance, and they give me more money because they show that it's liquid and it ain't at a bank where I can just take the money out. So that's one of the positives there. And also, life insurance does add to your net worth when you build the cash value. So if you want to be, you know, like once your cash value reaches a certain threshold sheet, you're actually a millionaire, right? You might not have that money in the bank, but you do if it's in your life insurance, because you can access that money at any point. The benefit, and this is one thing that people don't understand about borrowing against your life insurance, and then I'll get back to the term and the permanent. But borrowing against your life insurance is so versus a traditional loan. When you borrow against your life insurance, number one, you're only paying yourself back. You don't have to pay the loan back. If you don't pay it back and you die, they just take the loan out of your death benefit. If you decide to pay it back, the reason you're paying it back is so, like Sheed said, those projections that they gave you, the policy keeps up with what they legally told you it's gonna do, right? Because it's on paper, and life insurance becomes a contract that they are legally bound. It's called an aleatory contract that they have to keep their bargain on. Well, if you go taking money out and don't put it back, then the insurance company can't do what they promised they was going to do for you from the beginning. Right? So that's why you pay back the loan. But get this, the other ill part about it is when you go apply for a loan of any sort, anywhere, you have to not only prove credit worthiness, because you can go to the bank with an 850 credit score, but you have no job, and they'll say, great, we're not going to give you the loan, sir. You have excellent credit and excellent payment history, but you can't prove to us that you have the ability to pay this loan back. Guess what you don't have to do when you borrow against your life insurance? You don't have to prove that you have the ability to pay that loan back. You just go, hey, I got $200,000 worth of cash value in this life insurance policy, and I want this $100,000 Benz. I'm going to borrow this $100,000 from my life insurance policy and buy my $100,000 Benz.
Alonzo.
Yes, sir.
Remember when you sent me that clip with the guy? The guy had $1 million life insurance policy, and that's at the time when GameStop was running the numbers, and he put a stock option on GameStop for $100,000. The guy ended up hitting and got $300,000. So he ended up taking the $300,000 that he made off of that stock option, took $100,000, paid it back to his life insurance, and still walked away with $200,000. Now tell me, what can you do at any bank that they'll approve you to potentially gamble money in the stock, whether you win or lose? Banks are not going to do that. Your friends might not even do that. But with you having that policy available for you, he was able to make $200,000 because the money was there available for him.
Yeah. That's an actual fact. And 78, so Slick Rick, 78 is definitely within average age range of people. If I'm not mistaken, the death rate for men is 81, and for women is, I believe, 85 or 86. So dudes do live to 78. Now, due to a lot of circumstances, yeah, a lot of ninjas don't live to 78, but that happens to be with lifestyle. So it is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so back to the policy. So again, there's return of premium, where they will give you all of your dollars back from your life insurance that you've paid over the last 20, 30 years. Now, when we're going to look at what most people know as whole life, is actually permanent. And this is what I wanted to say when you guys were talking about people overpaying for their life insurance. This is literally happening right now to my grandmother. She's 83. She bought a policy 11 years ago from Colonial Penn, which is a whole life policy. But all whole life is not set up the same. This is why I compare life insurance to classes of Mercedes-Benz. Those whole life are what you call final expense. The Alex Trebek commercial, the AARP, it's guaranteed issue. It's going to be expensive. They usually focus on seniors age 45 to 85. Go ahead, Paige.
I was going to say, you sound just like the commercial. Go ahead. I feel like
Right?
I'm going to change the TV soon as it come on. No, I'm okay. All right,
No, that's so good. Don't be sorry at all. Go ahead. So with that, my grandmother was paying $55 a month, or a little over $600 a year, for a $5,000 death benefit. Because again, those policies are going to be very small and very expensive because people are a certain age and they don't take into consideration your health or anything. They just say, you got $50? Here's some life insurance. Well, that's death insurance, to be honest. So the problem is she's been paying for 11 years. She's paid $6,600 into this policy. That is building cash value, but substantially slower. And when she dies, we're only going to get $5,000. So at this point, I'm trying to tell her, Grandma, you need to cancel it, but don't just flat out cancel it. You need to cancel it and do what's called reduced paid up. So that means every dollar you've paid into it is now, you know, she's going to get a death benefit. The death benefit is probably going to be about $2,500. Property values are not going up faster than insurance, but that's why I also have my real estate license, Slick Rick. I'm a New York State licensed realtor, as well as licensed in life, health, accidental, property, and casualty securities, and I have my PTIN, Prepares Tax Identification Number. So a lot of the shit I'm talking about, I know what I'm talking about.
Accomplishments. Hats
Sorry?
off to you. Hats off to you. I'm just giving you your roses. That's all. Hats off to
I
you
appreciate
for you and all your accomplishments. Let's go.
But
Thank
even
you,
with
sir.
that, even with going, sorry to cut you out very quick, but even with that, Slick, even if you getting a short term by getting property now, let's say you don't qualify because you don't have the funds for a down payment. Most people don't even know that they qualify down payment assistance programs because you generally just don't know. So that's what I'm saying. That the properties that you can afford now, most likely with most people, it's not nothing to, kind of flip and dance with. But the long term that I was telling you about, within 15 years maybe, if I find a good property that I can get for a cheap price or flip it or something like that, that's with the insurance. So you can play both games. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I got a house now, but at the same time, I'm getting more. I have a friend, he has about 5 properties. Dude has about 5 properties, and he's steady going into several businesses. But the thing of it is, he has a short-term and a long-term plan. The thing is, you can't have a short-term mindset and grow old and don't have a long-term plan. That's all we're saying.
Big facts. And one more thing about the real estate, I think people don't understand. So, for example, when the interest rates were 3.2%, you would purchase a $500,000 house, let's say with the 20% down, which would be $100,000. Well, that's a little more than 20%, but let's say you put $100,000 down and you got a 30-year mortgage. Because you pay the interest up front on your mortgage, and you can pull out an amortization schedule from bankrate.com and do the math yourself. Don't believe me. And at the 3% interest, you, over the course of that 30 years, were paying $200,000 in interest. So for that $500,000 house, you're actually paying $700,000. Now, as of today, interest rates are above 6%. So let's say you do that today money and get that 30-year mortgage, because nobody has $500,000 sitting around to just throw at a house. And you get that same loan and you put that $100,000 down. Well, over 30 years, you're going to pay approximately $460,000 in interest. So for that $500,000 purchase, you've actually paid $960,000. So when property values are going up and people are talking about things like fixing and flipping or house hacking and renting them out, you also have to realize you have things called maintenance. So you have to expense that. And then there's this thing called carrying costs. What are carrying costs? And I sell real estate in the most expensive market in the fucking country, New York City, right? So you have holding costs, which are, most people can't get those units rented out for the first 6 months of owning that property, right? Or retention. You're going to have people who come in and, go out. Now, you could go the smart route, house hack, and go ahead and get, people who are on Section 8. Nothing wrong with people who are on Section 8, but generally there's a misconception, and that's that the people on Section 8 go and tear up your house, which happens often. Or regular rent payers tear up your house, which happens often. Guess what you got to do when they tear up your house? You got to come out of your pocket and pay for that stuff. Usually the rent, I'll give you an example. I have a client who owns a property in Astoria, Queens. The mortgage was initially $1 million. The mortgage is now $1.85 million because he had to take a second mortgage out, because the people who were, his mortgage is $7,800 a month. But when he was charging rent, and he was charging a good amount of rent, he was only getting enough to pay $7,500 to the mortgage. So he was at a $300 a month loss. So it sounds nice. But again, like she said, what happens is a lot of people come and say things and haven't done the practical, or haven't actually done it. Like a lot of people, I fix and flip houses. I don't need a real estate license. That's why you get screwed. You know why? Because in the real estate exam manual of every state across the country, it'll tell you that it's illegal to pay a non-licensed individual commissions from a real estate transaction. So when you think you're getting your finder's fee of $1,000, or you add your assignment to the mortgage, because again, I've sold houses, and you add your little $10,000, $20,000 assignment, the person who's buying that house with the mortgage is like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not paying some fool who ain't do shit $10,000 on top of. It ain't that important to me to get this house. So the shit sounds nice, but that's why you got a lot of bandos and fucked up properties. Excuse my language. Again, it sounds nice, but and I know a lot of property owners who own multiple properties in New York City. I know a woman who owns 2 properties in Brooklyn, both over $1 million, and she owns a business in Brooklyn, in Bay Bridge, that pulls in $90,000 a month, because she's another one of my insurance clients. And when you're my insurance client, I identify and protect your lifestyle, so I get all in your nitty-gritty business. Well, she also wasn't paying either one of her mortgages for 2 years. So while on the surface, It looked great because she was walking around with Tory Burch bags, a new Lexus for her boyfriend, and a new Mercedes Benz for herself. She was millions of dollars in debt, but everybody was like, oh, she got it going on. She got a business and 2 houses that she was about to lose, that she was in tears, felt embarrassed sitting with me talking about. And I was like, don't be embarrassed. This is 95% of America because we live above our means. I'm sorry to, pick on folks, but, I grow tired of hearing your fucking Google search ain't got nothing on the 10,000 hours I've spent doing this in real life. Pardon me. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's just a lot of music in my background because I'm at the production studio. That's all, y'all. I went on mute.
Okay.
I don't want no feedback or no music coming through the stream at all.
No problem. No problem at all. But anytime you feel like it, cut me off. And Slick Rick, I wasn't getting at you specifically, but I see all of this stuff all around way too often. Prime example, like the infinite banking, and then they're like, everybody's sending me the meme with Waka Flocka. And while what he said is cool, now apparently there's someone saying that he lost $5 million in doing the infinite banking, and that's because the agent who set it up didn't set it up right for him. See, again, when I was telling you about those commissions, right? So agents get on average, if you're with the big companies like I am, like I write for Prudential, Nationwide, Security Mutual of New York, Emeritus. I used to write for Mutual of Omaha. So I write for some pretty well-known companies, right? When you're with the big boys, the real financial services companies, right? They pay 50% commission, right? So, somebody pays $1,000 a month, you get $500 a month for the first year. After that, you might get $100 a year off of that policy, but the idea is to build your clientele basis so that you got 1,000 clients, so 1,000 people times $100 is $100,000, and you didn't have to do nothing. But so these agents don't set it up right for you. What ends up happening is when you set up an infinite bank properly, you cut your commission by a third, or more than half. Prime example, I just wrote a policy 2 days ago where the guy is paying $20,000 a year. So that should be a $10,000 check for me. Unfortunately, it's going to be closer to a $6,000 check for me because the way that I set it up was very beneficial for the client. And yes, the company's happy because they're getting his full $20,000. But because you set it up beneficial for the client, the insurance company makes you, the agent, pay for that. So that's why a lot of agents don't even like to set up those policies properly, right? Because, well, what about me? You benefited, the company benefited, and then I get paid less? Well, that's kind of effed up. I believe in doing it because when you do it that way, I have people like Sheed who are running around like, yo, go see Alonzo. And that will bring, I'd rather have, 5 $20 policies than one $100 policy. Because when one person cancels that one $100 policy, I get to pay the company back all that money. Whereas when one person cancels that $20 policy, I've got the other 4 to lean on. And I don't have to pay the company back all that money. Right? But when you're looking at whole life, again, you've got whole life, then you've got variable whole life, which is attached to the stock market. Then you've got universal life. Then you've got indexed universal life. Then you've got variable universal life, which again is attached to the stock market. Now, indexed universal life mirrors the S&P 500, but it is not participating in any stock market. What they do is they buy options and they buy bonds. This is how insurance companies get your cash value. They buy bonds. The bonds accrete or increase in value. Once the bonds accrete, they're able to pay you a percentage of their earnings. Now, what they do with indexed universal life is they take that earning from the bonds and then they purchase stock options. When the stock option accretes or increases in value, they pass some of the earnings on to you in your indexed universal life. When the option fails, they just let it expire. When that option expires, the only money that's lost is the insurance company's money that they got from the earnings that they've already earned from investing in bonds. So, yeah, go get that 50 cents. Don't worry about this $3. Right? So, that's how indexed universal life works. Variable universal life is attached to the stock market. Attached, not mirroring, but attached. So what that means is all of your premium dollars, every dollar that you pay into the life policy, and all of your cash value accumulation, and all of your death benefit are at risk in the stock market. So if you buy $100,000 policy and the stock market skyrockets, your death benefit increases, your cash value increases. But at the same time, you buy that $100,000 policy and the stock market does 2008, your death benefit, your cash value, and the premiums you paid are now trash. Which is why I don't like variable universal life. I don't like regular whole life. I sell index universal life. It's investment grade life insurance, but none of the risks of actually investing. So it's a safe bet, which is why, she is telling y'all to go do it. There's different death benefit options. Most people are only going to get the level death benefit, which means you purchase $100,000 policy, you live for 20 years and you build up $50,000 worth of cash value, and then you get hit by a bus. Your family is going to only get $100,000, $50,000 that you built up, and $50,000 that the insurance company built up. Again, most agents aren't going to do it with the way that I'm telling you what I'm about to tell you because we get paid less for it. But you can have option B, which is an increasing death benefit. So that same scenario, you buy a $100,000 policy, you live for 20 years, you build up $50,000 worth of cash value, you get hit by a bus. The insurance company is now going to pay your family $150,000 because the aleatory contract, the insurance company is always on the hook for that $100,000 that they told you they were going to be on the hook for. But you, along the way, happen to build up 50 grand in cash and then died. So now they got to give your family 150 grand because they can't keep the 50 grand you built. Is that making sense, Sheed?
Yeah, that do.
All right. So, like I said, I could definitely do this for hours. What I want to do, I want to definitely connect with Paige.
Give me drop her. Well, you can go to her link because you have the you're a moderator, so you can.
Oh yeah, I got the link, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Let me do that right now from my phone.
Yeah.
And go up to her.
And I know underrated. He's about to go live in a minute. I think he's doing a chop up with somebody. I know he's.
I believe so.
Get up in touch with you, and I know Shane is live too. So.
Okay. Let me see. Paige, here we go. Go to channel. Subscribe. So Paige, I just subbed to your channel. And thank you for going ahead and listening. And I appreciate it. You bring me along. Thank you so much, sister. Thank you so much for number one, trusting me with, like I said, your family's legacy. I don't take that lightly, especially when it comes to men and their children. Like, that's not something that we joke about, right? Yeah, I know you don't play about your kids. So, I thank you so much for allowing me to even be part of you know, helping your kids out and creating your family's financial legacy. You know, and thank you for singing my praise around these YouTube streets and everywhere you go. And you know, doing what you do.
Yeah, no problem. And you know what, Paige's channel, you know, if she have a lot of young people that come over there, you know, that'll get them some knowledge and give them some understanding to look towards the future. And just like she was saying, she did the whole thing and had a lot of people, young guys and girls, open up their bank account, you know, for the first time. So this might be something that can impact them for the first time as well. You know, getting life insurance and figuring out where they stand, because that's why I say it. It to a degree, people got to understand when they're dealing with the life insurance more on the long term gain side and the profit, you know, that goes towards the end, and you know the short term gain side. You know, what are you gaining? You know, if you don't live out the policy, you know, you can still borrow money off the policy to a degree at certain ages. You know, I would that's my whole thing, is let them mature a little more to where I can get more out. Cause, you know, that's why I said if a deal pops up, I can afford it. You know, cash value. If I go into a deal with cash versus somebody going into trying to finance, cash is king. Cash is always going to rule over the person that's trying to finance it. You know, I can even cut them down, you know, a couple of thousand or a couple of hundred. You know, I got a guy right now I'm possibly talking to about getting his house. He wants 200 and I think 30 some thousand for a house, and dealing with somebody with a short sale. I mean, dealing with somebody that's wholesaling, and they're looking for a house right now in the area. So I'm looked at the house. The house pretty much is, to me, is only worth about 180, because it's a lot of, you know, rehab you got to do. And to a degree, I looked back in the day, 2010, the dude bought the house for $26,000. I mean, that's not a ticket to me, because you got to understand, due to the market, this house is going to sell regardless. But, you know, to a person that's an investor, he's going to look at that market and say, well, if I'm going to buy this house, I need to fix this, fix this, fix this. Now, if I come in as an investor that I have this money in my insurance, I can snatch that money and go with it. Oh, at it again. Media. I haven't seen you in a minute. I sub to your channel and I still haven't been catching you. I know you won't be live streaming a lot, but I still be looking out for you. But, you know, when it come down to that guy, if someone I get that can buy this house and they're an investor, they're going to need that money from somewhere. And if they don't have that capital, like most people that I've been running into that are just starting the flipping process or buying and holding, you know, doing the BRRRR method, that life insurance is going to play a big part of it, especially for somebody who's, you know, just the average Joe. You know, you want to try to take on this, your average Joe don't have money like that saved, you can go into your life insurance, 401k, somewhere and pull that money out. And even if we're talking about people who've been working for a minute and you do have a 401k, same thing with the life insurance that I'm talking about. There's money put aside for emergencies. You know, people
Actually,
go ahead.
With the 401k, here's where I'm gonna say you are a genius, and you don't even know it. So there's actual limits with the 401k. So the most you can take out of your retirement plan for the purchase of a home is $10,000. I obviously know that because I'm studying for my CRC designation, Certified Retirement Counselor. So I have to know all the ins and outs of your retirement plans, whether that's a TSP, 401k, IRA, 457, 403b, and so many more, right? So with those retirement accounts, you can only take out 10 grand to purchase a house. Now, if me and you are going to buy a house and I got a 401k and you got life insurance, and let's say we both got $500,000 of money in the 401k and you got $500,000 of money in the life insurance, guess what you could go do? You could say, how much is this house? You want $200,000 for this house? Okay, I'm gonna go, well, I'm gonna borrow $10,000 from my 401k and try to get a loan. You're gonna say, I'm gonna give you $175,000 cash right now, 10-day close, because it's gonna take 2 or 3 days for you to get the cash sent to you. right, or wired to you. But you'll say, "Oh yeah, here's the liquid cash in the life insurance policy." Do you think somebody's gonna wait for me to get a mortgage?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. When it comes down to it, a lot of people don't. That's why I say the long term versus the short term game. You know, these little simple things don't really hit home until you actually get into a situation like that. And that's why I said I'm happy that I learned about life insurance at a young age, and it wasn't just on the premise of death. It was just on the premise of saving something for the family. It was something for the premise of rainy day money. Because like I told you, my whole thing looking at life insurance as a savings account. If anything do go wrong, I'm not putting my money into the bank where I'm getting a low rate on it. My life insurance is my savings account. Me and my cousin, we had a discussion to where, if I needed it, something, I can have cash on hand. That's the whole purpose of materialistic things that I have now that I can sell, or, little things that I can, get by on the money that I have now. All money is not in just one basket. Like they say, you got to have you got to have multiple streams of income.
Multiple streams of income, yeah.
Yeah, just like you got to have multiple streams of income, you also got to have multiple ways of getting money just in case of emergency. I
Big
might
fact.
can't wait 2 days for that for the life insurance to pay out. I might need to go ahead and give something to them now, and that'll be the perfect thing from the cash that I have here. But mainly the cash that I'm putting in my life insurance is growing at a faster rate than any other thing I can put my money in. Even with Slick Rick was talking about with the house scenario, I can't even get the house without any money. Let's see if I do a wholesale and I get this guy up on the contract, get him the wholesale, me the house, and just transfer the deed over to. I still have to give him some form of money. He's not gonna just transfer his title over to me for the house without me giving him nothing. Just be like, man, I want to walk away from this house. I don't want it to go to foreclosure, but I gotta get something out of the deal. See, that's when that cash value, comes in hand. The money that you have from your policy. Most people don't walk around with $20,000 in the bank. Most people don't even walk around with $2,000 in the bank. So when Slick Rick was, going at it, like I said, the point of it is having some type of money to have access to. It might not, be in a 1 day moment, but 2 to 3 days. Hey, it's a given. You're gonna be able to process that easier. And a lot of people don't, like I say, the long term game is there, but the short term is also there if you're willing to, run the risk and play the game just like the game is to be played. And I always go back to this. There's things that we don't know about. We're in the dark about this. And that's why I'm trying to shine a light more onto life insurance, more into financial, gains, and a lot of just people got to be informed.
Big facts. Actually, if I can, before we hop off, one more thing I wanted to mention, because Slick Rick brought up some good points. I like Slick Rick goes hard in the paint when he comes in. That's always a good thing, because it's a good challenge. So one thing that is a misconception is the whole pension thing. Pensions were done away with by insurance companies because pensions were what we now call annuities. Pensions were payment till death, and people were living too long, and insurance companies were losing money. So the pension got done away with in the late 60s, and they started doing the 401k. The 401k is the reason why you see a lot of old people going back to work at Walmart at 75. Because what happens is the 401k is period certain. So let's say you get a 401k, you retire at age 65, which most people don't. In order to FRA, as of today, full retirement age for anyone born after 1967 is currently the age of 67. Don't believe me? Go to www.irs.gov and go look at full retirement age charts. or retirement age charts for you to get, or you can go to whatever the Social Security, SSA.gov, Social Security Administration.gov. Because again, I have put in my 10,000 hours. So I'm telling you, don't believe me. I'm telling you to go to Google, even though Google search ain't got nothing on my 10,000 hours, but Google will bring you exactly what it is that I'm saying. So we'll validate it. Now, the pension, again, was killed for the 401k. The 401k pays out period certain. So let's say you retire at 65 with $120,000 in your 401k. So that means that you are going to get $10,000 a year, or I'm sorry, $12,000 a year for 10 years, right? 120 divided by 10, $12,000 a year, or $1,000 a month for 10 years, from age 65 to age 75. Now, that money has run out. Well, there's an insurance policy for that. It's something called an annuity. You see, when I say I sell life insurance, that I'm like McDonald's. McDonald's only advertises the Big Mac and fries, but when you go there, they got chicken nuggets. They got, she says, they keep jacking that age chart up so nobody can fully retire and get their full pension or Social Security. Well, they haven't jacked it up in a while. But if people like us who were born if you were born after like 1975, don't even think about getting Social Security, because it probably ain't going to happen for us. Due to modern technology, people are living longer and the birth rate is lower. So there's not enough people coming into the workforce paying FICO taxes. Or paying Social Security taxes, sorry. So there is something called an annuity. Now, let's say that same scenario, you started your annuity and all you saved up in it was $120,000. You're age 65 and you retire. Well, you're going to get that same $12,000 a year for 10 years. And then you've ran out of money because all you put into it was $120,000. Oh, but because it's an insurance policy, they're going to keep paying you that $12,000 a year until the day you die. Even though you've ran through your $120,000 from the age of 65 to 75. So, you know, just because, again, I say I sell life insurance, that doesn't mean that I can't help you with your life insurance, your long-term care insurance, your disability insurance, your Section 529 college savings plan, a mutual fund, your 401k, and a host of other things. But I have to lead with the foundation. Just like when we were getting into houses, you wouldn't let somebody build you a house and be like, I built the roof. I know ain't nothing else here, but I built the roof. Well, that's what it sounds like when you guys are talking about investing first and you haven't started with your foundation, which is life insurance. If you got an architect who was like, yeah, I'm building you this newfangled house, and they started by building a roof, but they didn't break any ground, dig a hole and pour concrete for something for that building to sit on, you would immediately run from that contractor. Yet we're getting all this quote unquote financial advice to do this investing, and we ain't even pouring concrete in the ground for something for our financial house to sit on. At any rate, thank you. I'm gonna hop off and go watch some football. You know my motto is wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. And ladies and gentlemen, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.
All right now, with that being said, shout out to everybody that came through. Shout out to the people on the replay. We moving, we handling business. Hey, what's going on? K Business Podcast popping in the building. Shout out to everybody. But like I say, when it come down to it, man, long-term, short-term gains, that's why I push the life insurance. Looking at the topic, hey, that's what I was saying. When it come down to certain people, they don't need mics, man. Me and my friend was having a discussion earlier. Some people just need crayon books. Just need to sit down, get the crayon book, and start doing the work. Because when it comes down to it, you're not really giving the information. That's what Paige was talking about. How she's not a professional, but she actually had someone that was a professional come on her panel and talk about, credit repair and things. And she helps some young people. That's why I push, with Alonzo, getting people to the point of understanding their path with long term. That, in my opinion, that's what I use as a long term goal is getting life insurance to when I get older and to a mature age when I'm able to, take advantage of certain things. And that's why I say if funds are available, you will be able to, do things. Yeah, and I mean it's to a degree. That's what I always talk about with the generational wealth. You know, multiple streams of income. Having life insurance is one of them. Having properties, having business. The kids can grow with the business and invest, and over time, starting up a trust to where you put most of your properties and everything in those trusts to where they don't have to pay the taxes. Same issue with forgot the name. The guy who played Black Panther. Mm. When he passed, I'm losing the name right now. Chadwick Boseman. But when he passed, he had to pay over $900,000 to probate. He had to pay over $900,000 to probate. And the reason why Chadwick had to pay over $900,000 to probate simply because when it came down to it, Chadwick didn't have a policy. Chadwick didn't have anything set up to where when he passed, the people he wanted to get money got money. And it was a wonderful thing that his wife actually shared his money with the family. She could have easily said, I want all this money for myself, nobody get any money, and that was it. Even to the whole point with the probate situation, they were wanting some of that money. And IRS got a piece of that money. When it came down to it, if you know, you know. And that's the whole thing stirring back around to the topic that, some people shouldn't have mics. If you're not giving, good content, some type of substance, and you're just giving a lot of feelings, it's not good. And, I try to stay out of situations, try to stay out of the beef between people because it's not my lane. I'm more focused on giving information and kind of trying to help people retain and get the knowledge. At the end of the day, if you want the knowledge and I'm trying to give it to you, you can accept it. If not, then so be it. I don't have a problem with it. My whole thing, the people that want to learn, they can learn. People that don't want to learn, hey, I can't help everybody. I can only help some. And when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I only can help those who really want to be helped. So, shout out to everybody that came through. I appreciate everybody coming in, hitting that like button, sharing, and so forth. But, the message still stands. When it comes down to it, everybody don't need a mic. Everybody's voice matters to a degree. There are some people that are followers and there are some people that are leaders. People who are generally to a degree as a leader, they can sit here and, hold a platform and give people good advice and give them some structure, but to a degree, you have a lot of followers and some followers that have mics, give bad information or, don't typically share the most gracious and best advice that's needed. And like I say, shout out to everybody that came through. And for the most part, yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't have things in play. And that's the thing that hurts a lot in our community. And Alonzo spoke on that. I'm gonna drop down with this. Alonzo spoke on this to where on average, people in the community don't have nothing but $10,000 of life insurance. You know, you buy that policy 15 years ago, and it's a term policy due to inflation. 10,000 right now is $50,000. So that 10,000 due to inflation now $50,000 it won't cover. What was it in going into 2000s? My grandmother passed, and to bury her, to actually get her cremated, I think was around $500 and some dollars. And fast forward a couple years later, a family member was going to get cremated. It was $1,000. So if someone bought a life insurance policy for $500, back in that time, and now in 2020, that $500 cremation, you're going to add $500 more dollars to it, at least $480. So, do the math, do the homework, get yourself together. That's why people are starting to now understand that why trusts are, good and beneficial, wills, but trusts are more or less better, to a degree. A lot of major people put money in life insurance, just for holdings, but big time savings, and they give you better return. But like I always say, till next time, we here and we gone. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Yeah. Oh, sorry to hear. Sorry to hear that had to get me. But till next time, like I always say, we here and we gone. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Shout out to everybody that came through. Once again, appreciate it. And we gone.